dynamics at play. And one of the most important stakeholder, I think, in today's world that comes with power, that comes with resources, and that comes with responsibilities on their end is a corporate. And I believe that these partnerships can sometimes fulfill a lot of very important missing gaps in the work that we are doing, whether it is in terms of financial support, whether it is in terms of fundraising initiatives, or whether it is in terms of volunteering. And I think it's also very important to understand that, like NGOs and nonprofits have our own goals in terms of fulfilling our mandates and commitments on ground, corporates too have their goals in terms of fulfilling similar mandates, which also help them and their functioning and their ecosystem at play. So I believe that it's a very important, like sometimes we feel that corporate interests are not always aligned with our interests on ground. But I would like to say that often that is not true, because what could be our interest and our focus area on ground could also be a focus area for the corporate in terms of certain commitments that they need to fulfill, certain ethics and values that they run on, or certain team building principles that they operate with. So it's very important to understand that this marriage between the two can actually lead to long-term sustainable change, and they do and can fill in a lot of the holes with resources, volunteering, fundraising, communication support, and a lot of other things. So I think this is why corporate partnerships are important. And why long-term corporate partnerships? Because I'm sure all of us here are working towards long-term sustainable on-ground change. Therefore, long-term partnerships ensure increased commitment in terms of volunteer support, in terms of funds. And I think it also increases accountability on both sides. And accountability is extremely important for the long-term success of any of whatever work that we do on ground. We are all accountable to a certain set of standards, and such partnerships enhance and increase accountability on both fronts. So I think for long-term sustainable change, long-term partnerships are definitely key to any work that we do on ground.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lippy, for sharing like a wonderful example. It's like a marriage. And as Lippy mentioned, it's like both should be on the same page. And one more thing that I feel that when we both the stakeholders are coming from different backgrounds, like corporate and non-profits. So both should have that slight understanding on, okay, what is the need of the corporate? Is it aligned
Absolutely
with my project? Okay, so based on that, like I feel if we reach out to our corporate partners or corporate organization, that would make a big difference. Or like then there are higher chances of converting them as our partners. So yeah, I think that's a very important thing. Moving to the next thing that a lot of us are like thinking like a lot of NGOs are maybe pretty new in terms of corporate partnerships or working with corporate. Would you like to share like some of the procedures that you follow while you are, onboarding a corporate client? For example, I may have like future plans, like what exactly I want to do, but what should be my onboarding plan? Like how can I onboard a corporate client?
Pani Foundation doesn't always work with, or actually never works with corporates as clients, more as partners. And I think a few things are very important when it comes to the onboarding or the introductory process in terms of the entire partnership. The first one, and what we always insist on, is a detailed face-to-face meeting. It could even be a half-day long workshop wherein the corporate can be introduced to the world in which your organization lives, breathes, and operates. Because often corporates have understanding of certain issues and causes, but may not know exactly what role you are playing when it comes to working on that particular topic, issue, or cause. So I think it's very important that any partner, and especially a corporate partner who exists in a very different world on the day-to-day, be encouraged, motivated, and inspired to join your world for one day, for 2 days, for maybe a week, wherein you can do workshops or an immersive sort of a field visit wherein they can see the work that is actually happening, and wherein they can understand that, okay, if it is the issue of drought and water scarcity, then this is exactly the role that Pani Foundation is playing. These are Pani Foundation stakeholders on ground. These are some concrete examples of work that they have done on ground. And I believe that this field visit or this immersive yeah. So I believe that it's extremely important for them to be immersed into your world for a certain period of time, wherein they should have clarity of, number one, the role that you play, and number two, they should be able to see a tangible example of impact or work that you have done, or an example of the vision that you have in mind if you are just starting out. So I think that is extremely important, and we should not only rely on, this is important for a long term partnership, and this is something that we always insist on doing. The second thing is, of course, to have all the paperwork in place, because due diligence is something that every corporate will want to do. So to streamline that process internally first is extremely important, so that you are not caught off guard and you're not asked about something that you don't already know. And I also think that in terms of the onboarding process, it is important to have a meeting where also expectations are clearly set, that this is the scope of work that is going to be done. Here are the people who are going to be affected. This is the sort of impact that we can expect. These are the sort of challenges that right now we expect, but may or may not happen. We'll find out as we move along. But I think this expectation setting is extremely important, as it makes things clear and again increases accountability on both sides and ensures there is absolutely no miscommunication happening. And the other thing is, in this process as well, regular communication, of course, is key to inspiring confidence and sort of strengthening the partnership as well. So instead of the corporate asking for an update, maybe you could have your own timeline of communication wherein you are saying that, okay, every 2 weeks or every quarter or every month, this is the kind of update that we shall share. This is the kind of meeting that we shall organize. This is the kind of, these are the kind of videos or photographs that we will be sending you. And in the process of the entire project, also arranging for another field visit or another short visit, wherein again the work on ground, the continuing work on ground is visible. So just to sum up, I would say definitely an immersive field experience is key to onboarding any corporate, because it really ensures that the partnership can be long lasting. Secondly, due diligence on all fronts, internally, externally, even the team being in sync with why we are doing this. Expectation settings are extremely important as part of this onboarding process. And then to streamline the process, regular communication as well as another short field visit, if possible, is definitely inspiring.
I think I absolutely agree with Lippy. Like, in COVID, like we all used to reach out to new stakeholders through like emails or like sharing decks. So I think
Right.
that phase is, I feel like it's gone. And I think now we have to come back to the ground. We need to
Yeah.
show what work we are doing and how are you impacting your beneficiaries. So I absolutely agree with your point, Lippy. And I think the next question that we are going to ask Lippy would clear more things in your mind and would give you more ideas on how best this can be done. Yeah. So my next question is like points to usually keep in mind while engaging with like new corporates. Like maybe like when you start a partnership, what all things you will keep in mind? Like will you check like their credibility, or exactly how will you identify that okay, this is the right corporate for me to partner with?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I believe it's very, very important, especially when any kind of funds transfer or financing or fundraising is involved, to ensure that the corporate's needs are aligned with yours. So sometimes, and aligned with not only your needs, but also your core working principles. Otherwise, the partnership is often not as impactful as one would want it to be. It can still be successful and the funds can still come in, but it may not be as impactful as one may want it to be. So I would definitely say that we need to do a need alignment, as well as a check in terms of whether the corporate's mission and values match our own, and whether this is something that can benefit us in the long run as well. It's important to check what work they have done, if anything, in this sector with any other organizations, and understand what their process has been when they have done that. I also think that often what happens is that as non-profits, we often look at corporates as only donors, and there is a sort of power equation that is always created. But I think that it is also possible to look at corporates as partners, and to also ask them questions, also ask them about, okay, have you worked in this before? What has your experience been? Do you have any case studies of working with any other organizations? These things can give you a good sense of which is the like who are the people, and which is the company that is going to be giving you an X number of funds, or going to be helping you carry out. Yeah, so I think so those things are definitely very important to keep in mind. And again, meetings and few levels of discussions always help getting this done. Often, I mean, I just believe that we should, whenever we are starting out working with any corporate, it's important to identify what are the areas in which they have worked in, and also to really get to know the people who are going to be responsible for approving the fund allocation, who are your main points of contact at the organization. It's very important to have a good rapport with them and also understand them as people. Otherwise, what happens is that we always end up looking at things as processes, and there are different like check marks at every stage that we do. Okay, ye ho gaya, ye ho gaya. But if we can just spend some extra time getting to know the people behind the organization that's going to be making these big decisions which will impact our work, then it's definitely going to help us go the extra mile.
Okay, okay. That's actually very true. Just one thing that I would like to know here is that how does it important that corporate credibility? If like I'm reaching out to a corporate and like they have a really good credibility, how will it add value to the work that you are doing? Because I think that's the most common question that people are asking, that okay, if I'm reaching out to like bigger corporates like Tata, okay, how exactly it will add value, and how it's going to like attract other corporates to work with my organization and to understand my cause. So what is your like understanding on this, Lippy?
I think this is, the very similar across different sectors. It definitely inspires confidence in any other potential partners. Like, I'll just give you an example. Just important questions which two team members had is that which other corporates have shown interest in this so far? Anyone from XYZ sector, anyone from XYZ city. And it always matters because it inspires a lot of confidence in one person if other people from their field of work are doing the same thing. So I definitely think that to have members from different corporates as partners or as advisors really helps raise your level of trust, especially among people who don't already know about the work that you are doing. So if a certain corporate has given an X amount of money, then the other corporates also feel that this is a trustworthy organization to approach. So it definitely makes a big difference. But I would still say that when one is starting out in terms of building corporate partnerships, a lot of like we may not always be able to engineer our partnerships in such a way that the biggest corporates join us from day one. I mean, it may or may not happen. So I would say that definitely one should focus on approaching corporates that one already knows someone in, or that is already aligned with the work that you are doing. Now it's available online as to what corporate is working in which area. It's all there on their website as well. So to build partnerships which are more possible and which match your values and your needs to begin with. And then a lot of the bigger corporates also will end up approaching you on their own, all through networks, is what my understanding is.
I think that's actually a true, like, story, because when you start an organization, it's very important for you to understand your cause and the cause that the corporate would like to support. So I think that would be a
Yeah.
great point to keep in mind for our nonprofits. Now, like, just to move ahead, like, if we talk about like the current scenario, like corporate volunteering has changed like the scenario for non-profits. So like what kind of like volunteerism have got in the space than just like financial offerings? Earlier, we used to talk about, okay, corporates will just provide me the fund, but now corporate have taken one step ahead and they have now started not just like providing funds but also volunteering, some sort of like gifting, engaging with beneficiaries. So how that has changed?
I think what has happened, especially after COVID, is that, and not only after COVID, actually, even before, is that at several, in several corporates, employee engagement, volunteering, giving back, the spirit of also contributing something to society, all of that has been championed more and more in the last few years. Also because of changing workforces, because now you have young professionals and several others who are not only coming to work to fulfill that 9 to 5 commitment and then go back. Uh, a corporate professional is also aware of their responsibility in terms of giving back to society and wants to take that step ahead to use his, her, or their privilege, their money, their power, and their time to give back to society as well. And I think this spirit of giving back and the spirit of volunteering has seen a rise in the last many years as workforces have changed. And I also feel that it's very important to look at a corporate. I mean, eventually, just like any other organization, a corporate is made up of set of people, and every person needs fulfillment, needs a certain level of satisfaction, needs a certain level of a sort of positive reinforcement or validation in their lives, which volunteering activities have been proven to enable people to feel all of these things. Wherein we have seen people who love their jobs, but who will also come for a Pani Foundation Shamadan activity, and then say that, working with the soil has taught me about humility, or connecting with the ground, and building a trench to conserve water has actually taught me about my own privilege. And these are lessons that one doesn't always get from the same office environment every day. So I definitely believe that as workforces have changed, and as people have also started focusing more on nurturing their interests, nurturing their mental health, nurturing their lives with their families, that the focus and the interest towards doing something very different from your daily activity and focus on using your privilege to give back to society has actually gone up. And I think the internet has also played a big role in spreading awareness on these things and making this a reality. And now, actually, in our experience, we are definitely seeing even HR heads, L&D heads, CSR heads more inclined towards doing very unique types of volunteering opportunities, which are designed to get the employees out of the office space, out of their comfort zone, and do something completely different.
Yeah, I think that that's a new phase, I think, which has started. And one more thing that I feel is that now, like corporates, like their employees, even as I mentioned, like we are also a volunteering platform, like we also work with corporate like partners. Now when like a corporate partnership is happening with like few organizations, once the work is done, like I know there are a lot of like individual volunteers who are volunteering on their individual capacity. So it's not like
Right.
the corporate partnership would be only for that particular tenure. Like they will
Yeah,
like
you are absolutely
develop,
right.
yeah, they will develop that interest, and maybe they would love to like continue working for your organization.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. And I think that, I mean, we have seen examples of this at Pani, where just 2 days ago, there was a post from Taluka coordinators on our WhatsApp groups that XYZ company has helped, this farmer group get access to some certain farm implements, and they have also come down and offered Shramadhan with them. And this is a company that had joined us for Shramadhan in 2017, and employees from the company have been coming very, like, almost every month. They'll visit the village, they'll keep in touch with the villagers, and now they have their own relationship, and Pani Foundation does not even facilitate every single interaction. But this is the power of a strong volunteering opportunity, which can actually lead to long lasting relationships between two groups of people.
Yeah, I think that was like, the scenario which, all of us would like to have in our organization.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so to move ahead, like we understood about like, corporate volunteering, we understood about how to onboard corporate clients. I would quickly like to understand from Lippy, like, what kind of like how to successfully implement NGO corporate partnerships. If you have like, few tips and tricks, or like if you are working with an organization for like more than 2 years, like would you like to share like some of the tips and tricks on that?
Yes, sure. So I think the at the root of sustaining a partnership for a long time is strong communication. A mix of these two things has actually helped us sustain partnerships. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, there was
Yeah,
some
no
issue
problem.
from my end. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. So I think where there is clarity at the onboarding stage, there is clarity throughout the duration of the project, and then there is a sense of closure as well when a certain activity or project is over. So we very carefully design communication materials for every leg of this entire journey. So, just like how every product has a life cycle, like this water bottle has a life cycle, even partnerships have life cycles, which we try and maintain very carefully, which starts from, an inviting, exciting, onboarding communication, which details in a crisp yet exciting manner that, okay, this is what we are planning to do. We have XYZ people already interested. Examples of proven success that we've already done this in XYZ areas with these results. And now we would also like for you to get involved and join in. And then hand holding through that onboarding process, helping out with whatever logistics of the volunteering or whatever other logistics of the partnership are. I think it's very important for the corporate to understand that they are working with an active partner. Obviously, every organization cares for whatever they are working on, even if you are a corporate or you are a non-profit. But I think promptness and being active in terms of this communication at this stage of planning is extremely critical. After which we ensure that there are that, like, if I have been speaking to a corporate for a long time and there's an activity happening on ground, I will also ensure that I am there to welcome them at the village when they arrive, so that there is a sense of familiarity and a sense of security also, that is there at least for the first activity. And then I think it's very important to engage with a corporate on ground, not as somebody who knows better and not as somebody who has done this work for so long, but as partners in a journey of discovery together, that discovering how to tackle a certain issue together. So that approach has always helped us as well. And then we also have a set of closing communication materials after every activity is over. And at every stage, we also provide corporates with social media prompts, with posters as they need, with presentations which they would need, so that at every stage of a project or an activity, they receive updates promptly. They receive all the communication material they need from our side. And at the end of it, they also receive a sense of the impact that their participation has helped create. I just want to share my screen here very quickly. And I want to give an example of, I think you can see this poster now.
Yeah, we can
So,
see it.
yeah. So this is a poster that we had shared with, I would say, close to 100 corporates or so in 2019, when they had joined us with for a like a Shramadan activity on ground, which was happening all across Maharashtra. This is a sense of the impact that, like this is what we had shared with them. And this is what almost every corporate partner who had joined us had put in their annual report, had put in their internal communication material. Because here we are saying that, okay, 10 people can create this much impact, and we are giving facts here out of from our experience. This is made in consultation with watershed management experts. And then every single corporate said, okay, so if 10 people could do this, we were 40 people who came. So that means we can extrapolate our impact, and it can be manifold. So similarly, we ensure that we have such communication materials at every stage of the process. And if whatever questions they have, we are there to answer that. I mean, none of this is rocket science. It's just that we treat uh, an entire activity with a corporate. We assign it different phases, like we give it a life cycle of sorts. We assign it different phases. We divide responsibilities amongst our team, and we ensure that at every stage there is a sense of confidence and security that the partner is feeling, because this is very new for them but not new for us.
That's true. I think that was a wonderful answer given by Lippin. And I agree, like, sometimes just sharing one poster would give them a lot of information about the cause that you are working for. So, like any organization who is planning to reach out to any corporate, please rely on this information that, you can share one poster which has all information about your cause, about your organization, and what are your plans, what exactly you would like to do with the corporate. Yeah. So I think that was a great like answer given by Lippy. Now, like all of you heard things about like corporate partnerships, but if we have missed out on something and you have anything specific to ask, I would like to keep the question and answer session open. If you have any question, please raise your hand so Lippy can answer those questions. Also, if like there are very specific information that you want, and if we are not aware at this point, as I mentioned earlier, we will get back to you later for that particular question. Yeah. But yeah, if there is anything, please raise your hand and we can accept your question. Bishikation, you had two questions to ask, right?
Yes.
So please go ahead.
Okay, so my question is how the new NGO way to approach the corporate, because they do not have any kind of data where need to be approached, right? So what is the different way of method the new NGO can approach, right? Either it's a sponsorship program or CSR program.
Yeah. Very important question. I think while we may not have ready corporate contacts always available with us, we now also live in a time where all of this is something that one can find out. So I would say that begin by making like two types of lists. One type of list is what are the types of corporates who definitely align with your vision and mission. You have to do some research for this also, and who have already contributed financially or in any other ways for a similar issue in the past or the same issue in the past. And that would be one list. And the other list could be corporates which are in your state or in your city, who work for social welfare generally because it is, in their own localities. So I would say that you could make these two lists to begin with, and then you could do some online research and via LinkedIn and some other platforms, find out employees and team members who work for these organizations, and find out contacts. I also think that, like how ConnectFor has a WhatsApp group, similarly asking on such WhatsApp groups or asking on other types of groups or networks online on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter can also help gain some useful leads and insights. And that's how you can create your list, and you can reach out to them with a very short note about who you are, what you do, and maybe you can add an attachment which talks about your work in detail. But the email can just be more about who you are, what you do, impact so far, and what is your expectation from this email, or why you are reaching out to this particular corporate. So I think it's important and it's possible to build connections also absolutely from scratch. We have also done that, and actually you will be surprised to see that a lot of people receive this very positively and are very open to building connections and partnerships. And you'll also see that once you put out on social media or on different WhatsApp groups, people will come forward and will share some leads and contacts with you. I would just say that also this is something which is not always very easy and may not always give you quick answers. But if you stay on it, then definitely if you've written to 10 or 12 people, at least 2 or 3 will surely get back to you. And that can be a good starting point for your organization.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Also, one more thing, like nowadays you can surely like depend on LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is the new, like, area where you can, find new people who are coming from like corporate sector. At least you can build the relation there, and then later on, depending on the work, you can take it forward. But if you want to be like, updated about like new things happening in the sector, I would suggest everybody to like, be dependent on LinkedIn, reach out to newer people on LinkedIn. That will help you grow your organization and will help you reaching out to newer corporate partners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just last month I received a LinkedIn message from someone who has now started working very closely with Pani Foundation on many of our initiatives. And their organization has started working on it, and they work on tech for rural development and really aligned with what we were also looking for. So, I mean, and we had no idea, we had never spoken before. So it's very, very possible for these kinds of connections to start off from scratch as well.
Yeah, so I think that's a very good advice given by Lippy. Do you have anything else to ask, Mr. Bishkeshan?
No, thank you so much. Give the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I hope this will help you implement at Tare Zameen Foundation, and you can reach out to new corporate partners.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay. We'll move to the next question. Does anyone have anything specific to ask to Lippy? Like anything regarding like corporate partnerships, about onboarding? You can raise your hand and then ask the question. If you are not sure about the question, but you know your problems as well, please do highlight, so that way we will be able to like answer those queries.
Yeah, Lippy, you said while onboarding, have all paperwork done in advance. So could you just throw some light on what kind of paperwork to be ready with?
Yeah, sure. So this will depend and change from organization to organization. But all your internal company policies, your company framework, any tax related paperwork, if you are a Section 8 company, or whatever category you fall into, that paperwork is important to have. And also, in case it's a financial thing, then even an internal audit, whatever your last audit report has been, so that report is useful, and your annual report as well is very useful.
Generally, all the regular ones like
Yeah, all the regular
so
ones.
trust deed and 12,
Yeah,
all those
correct.
things, right? Okay. That's
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lippy, for answering that query. Is there anything else that anybody would like to ask?
So I have a question. Hi, my
Yes,
name is
please.
Disha. I have a question. I don't know whether the current speakers have the answer to it, but I have worked with Canva and
Hmm.
have an offer for those who are in the not-for-profit space. So I wanted to know that if we have a list of such platforms which we can use for our benefit because we are a not-for-profit, and
Yeah,
if there was that would kind of authorize us, because sometimes they ask for FCRA, which is I think a foreign
correct.
contribution. Because when you go through, showcasing them that you are a not-for-profit, then they have certain expectations which may not be India centric. So, is there a way we can navigate? Because I'm really looking for a Zoom tie-up, because now we have
Hmm.
a lot of personal development and work readiness
Hmm.
conversations as well as
Hmm.
development sessions on Zoom.
Hmm.
So to invest in a Zoom, it can be easy. We can find a donor. There are tons who will donate. But the
Hmm.
idea is to also showcase and walk the talk of capacity building and community sharing and all of that, right? So is there some
Yeah.
advice that
Yeah, absolutely. So, Diti, actually, we also faced a problem with Canva for the same reasons. And then we had to end up buying the whatever the starter pack that they have, and which is what we use now. And this is a real problem. I think one of the ways that it can be circumvented is if a few organizations also share access to certain accounts. Like there are a few nonprofits who I know will share a Zoom account or a Canva account. So that is something that can be done. Vasumati has said that NASCOM Foundation also offers discounts on some software, which is true. But let me do some more homework on this and get back to you. Like, we always say that Google Meet is absolutely free. There are other platforms which are free. But they don't always have all the features that you may need, which Zoom could provide you with. So we always try and look at workarounds in that way. Even for social media scheduling, the problem that often happens because there are tools which will let you have maybe one or two free accounts and then not more after that. So let me also do some homework on this, and I would like to get back to you on the same in terms of alternatives and what softwares that which exist, which all of us can use.
Yeah.
could I
Thank
just
you so
add
much,
to that?
Dipti.
Could I just quickly add to what you said? So,
Yeah, sure.
Dipti, even the NASCOM Foundation, whatever they offer, for example, this antivirus thing, which is a local, anybody gets it. But if you want Microsoft, Canva, etc., then you need to have an FCRA because those are foreign products that are coming in. And I would be a little hesitant about sharing if theirs don't have FCRA and somebody who gets it through NASCOM Foundation, sharing it with them would strictly not be ethical. So you'll have to tread all that carefully.
so for an organization like ours, where we really don't require financial input because everybody is working in a very voluntary capacity, we have C-suite level executives coming and contributing because it's a knowledge sharing platform. So there is no financial requirement, and we are not infrastructure heavy, you know. And therefore, then it becomes very difficult to also showcase a need to have foreign investment as donors, So how
Because
does
foreign investment is not only about money, it's also about products like this. That's how it is.
okay,
Research this a little more.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's
But
very
yeah, thank you so much, Dipti and Vashumati. Dipti, even we have like marketing team and people who looks into like different documents. I will check with them as well and get back to you exactly what needs to be done in this case.
thank you, Aishwarya. Really thank
No problem, no problem. Okay, does anyone have anything
I
to
think
ask?
someone has asked on chat, which is, could you let us know how do we follow up after the initial email? What intervals are suggested? So I think a week is definitely good, a good enough interval for someone to have even briefly thought about your proposal or your email. And another thing that we follow at Pani is that if we have the phone number of the person whom we are writing to, or if we have the phone number of somebody in that company, then we call them after 2 3 days, or we just send them a message, and that also always helps. But otherwise, a week is good enough.
I think week's time is good enough, as Lippy mentioned. Sometimes, like what we have noticed, like constant follow-up is not also not a good way to like, begin the partnership. Like, okay, I have dropped you an email yesterday and you are following up on the next day. That's not the ideal way to like, following up.
Yeah.
I think you should give enough time to the like like maybe corporate partner or whoever is the person to like get back to you on these kind of like matters. Yeah. Okay, great. So I think we can end our session here. If there are any questions that you would like us to answer, I have shared the feedback form with everybody. If there is any question that you want us to answer later on, please do share the feedback with us with the question and we will get back to you. And I would like to thank Lippy. Thank you so much for coming and sharing wonderful information and insights on the topic. Like it was a great learning for I think everybody, and especially for those NGOs who are planning to reach out to newer corporate partners. So thank you so much, Lippy, and thank you so much everybody for joining. It was like a great webinar, and personally, I had a great learnings. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aishwarya, and thank you everybody for your time today, and thank you for inviting us, Aishwarya.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining. Take care. Have a great evening.